REL 10B. It's week 11, and you may be asking yourself, what is this beautiful div? What are these beautiful teams? How did I get here? Well, we're going to start out this week by looking at who you could be facing. If you make it to playoffs. For everybody else, I guess you just have to wait till we talk about you. Yep. So here we go. For 10B, you come in at the Big O position 2 seat. So there is a chance of about 5 teams in the running right now. That would be the infamous Papa Nasty and Bash Incorporated, Jape NZ and the Doomed Witches, Sandoon, former champion, and the Shadow Hill Cowboys, D's MFK, pretty constant addition to playoffs, and Liscaris and Work Machine, all good veteran coaches with good veteran teams, and you with 1 season under belt. So, most likely, we would see movement from Jape, Sandoon, and Papa Nasty. So let's take a look at Papa Nasty and what you could be facing if you take first in 10B. If you get first in 10B, you could have the honor of having your team deleted. This man will delete your team. His team just gets better and better every time I see it because nothing ever dies. A couple seasons ago, it was Almighty Blow piling on and Jump Up. Oh my god. Now they all have Stand Firm, and he's got a decent amount of guard. Yeah. So if you run into Papa Nasty, hope he wins out, gets first, because I do not see where inducements will lead you in most likely what is looking from 10B to be a Bash matchup. Our Bashy coaches are on top at the end of the first season, and this would be a rough way to go. There's no Stouticus versus Sage in this moment if you come in as Wedge with Chorfs or Poe with Dwarfs. This is just a stomp waiting to happen, and you're going to have to throw some dice. A more reasonable option would be Jape, who is currently in the second place seat. If you look on, what is it, Nufflytics for the playoffs. Jape's team looking pretty solid. 2 guard linemen, well-developed blodge. Everybody has blodge sidestep, all the big pieces. Yeah. This is a team that I could definitely see a first season Bash team put in work against, especially Chorfs or Dwarfs or something like that. A lot of tackles, so if one of the Zons or Elves gets up there, I don't see a good way to deal with it. But Jape with just a beautiful team. Great Witch Elves. Strong Blitzers. I like, the big thing I'm taking away from this is everybody has blodge. Everybody has sidestep. That's really hard to deal with out the gate when tackle is a rarity outside of teams built with it. And yeah, a little bit better option than Papa Nasty, but not great. We haven't had a Season 1 team win the Super Bowl since Sage. Sage went in with Chaos, and that was a completely different playoff situation. Less distance, less games to play, less evolved teams overall. I think Papa Nasty might be the most TV-heavy team in all of the league. But let's see. Next up, a much more reasonable, in team build, if not skill, matchup. You could be facing the former champion and Elf Master Sandoon and the Shadow Hill Cowboys. Got to level up on a Blitzer waiting. Only 1 Witch Elf. This is a team that a first season team could take on. Great Blitzer. Solidly built Witch Elf. Some nice other Blitzers, a kicker, DP. And he's got a little time to build out, but he's definitely taking a beating. And right now he is in third with 23 points. So there is a good chance that if he wins this week, he will take second place from Jape, who's already played week 12. And going out of that, he could stay in second. So this would probably be the best team to face, if not the best coach, but best team for sure for Season 1 coaches to come out against. If you haven't been watching Big O Div 1 and you're near the top of the bracket, that would be you, Wedge, Poe, A-Grain, Spigosaurus, and Yale. If you haven't been watching it, you need to be. You need to be looking at their games, and you need to be looking at the teams and what you might face, because coming out with one win as a fresh team is big. Big, big, big. In fourth right now is Drakkers Dominators. So let's see here. Another team that, kind of beat up. Not a lot of movement. Agi 5, Agi 4. I don't know. AV8. 2 developed Berserkers. 1 Legend, who's move busted, and Agi 4. Strength 4. And still Snowballa. Looking great. This is a team that I could see one of our coaches facing up against in a reasonable manner. Deezer, solid coach, great play, but this team that's a lot of movement busts. This is a very slow team. If you average it out, it's going to be movement 6. And a lot of his key pieces are move busted as well. So this could be good for those teams like the Chorfs and the Dwarfs who really do well against AV7 Norse because they cannot get away from you. Another good option. It seems like Papanese is the only one not taking a beating in Big O. And the last team we're going to look at that you could possibly face, less likely at 22 points and in 5th place, is Work Machine. This looks like a 2-season orc team. This is a team that could go either way. This is a very standard, stand firm, guard, block team. Black orcs are very well developed here. Great, fast blitzers. This is a very solid team. Lots of mighty blow and a decent amount of guard. 5 guards, hard to face up against Season 1 when the more limited skills are coming in. But this is a team that somebody can come in and really face down, I think, for you guys. So, that is the 5 possible options if you take first to end your season in the playoffs. Now, we go all the way back here, and let's go look at 10B proper. 10B Swiss, here we go. I'm not going to do solo level ups because I'm so far behind that I don't know where you guys are at. So let's just look at the matchups for week 11. Dead Elves passing, taken 2-1 on Reality Kings. That's a big win for A-Grain and his very standard elves. I'm a little stuffed up here. Fed's team is developing really well, but he just could not pull out the win against the elves. I think he got beat up by the elves in the regular season as well. Either way, big win, 1 death. Let's look at SPP here. Ooh. Ton of SPP. 23 blocks to 38. Injuries and kills. I wonder who died. Great game. The Axe Grinder's back in proper form facing the Ravel Leader people. This is the one that I predicted when I was completely wrong on Swiss being random, because they just had to randomize it. I think this is the one I wanted to see a rematch of. And Poe takes it to the Zons, which is not surprising considering the matchup. Thorig Nosebiter taking the MVP, getting a level up. I wonder what he got. Let's go take a look real quick. We're just nip out here. Look at Thoreg, who leveled up with the MVP, 11 SPP that game, and he picked up guard, making the team all the stronger. This is a team that could face up really well going to playoffs. The Death Roller has been picked up since I've last looked. And I guess if you want to keep that and not be super trim, you can. I wonder, my thought is either Poe's going to keep it for the laughs, or if he goes to playoffs, maybe Poe, if you want to get super serious, drop it, take the super lean TV, and put in work with your hero stadium. Pick up some cheap heroes to fill out your bench, and use the most of your inducements everywhere else. Back to the schedule. Yield Guard losing 2-0 to the East End Geezers. This one's surprising. Wedge's team is really strong and well built, but when it comes to teams built out in their first season, Yield Guard is one of my favorite. He's kind of hit everywhere he needed to, and this is, you hate to see this. Level up in the Pestigore, so he's going to get, well, he would have got Mighty Blow right here and started building into a real killer, but takes a strength bust. So, Claw first, I guess, paid off. I heard from Yale in one game. Somebody said the Claw paid off first, but not anymore. Let's see. 50 blocks, wow. Really giving out the blocks and not really keeping up. East End Geezers were on a tear. Wow. That is rough to see. That's a game I might have to go back and watch. It's surprising seeing the stats that it went 2-0, but I guess there's something I'm missing in here. So, big win for Wedge. Next up, Week 11, Festering Sores versus the Tolerant Left. Deadline ret, no one cares. 2-2 draw. I don't know. Let's take a look here real quick. Are either of these teams... Festering Sores is sitting in 7th, and the Tolerant Left is sitting in... Is that right? In last with no wins. Drunk or Not holding up to his drunk name. Lots of SPP for everyone, though. That's a massive... Let's see here. 21 SPP for the Tolerant Left. And 9, 13, 18 for Festering Sores. That's really great. So, good development for two teams that I'm assuming are going to either stay through to the next season and play it out, or maybe we'll see a reroll from the Amazons. I'm sure Hindi will keep his rats and keep building them. Zon's a little bit more... I think Drunkenhouse planning on keeping them, but we'll see. So, good development game, which you want to see when you're at the bottom of the board. And California Love not able to pick up a win at the end of the season. Both California Love and Tolerant Love are still in a winless season. Not able to pick it up against Conquering Your Fears. Conquering Your Fears is middle of the board with 3 wins, 5 draws, and 3 losses. And he just takes a high-scoring game. Wow, 4 passes. Lots of elfing. Lots of elfing. Pretty even on blocks. KOs and injuries. Pretty even as well when you consider the Mighty Blow piling on for Conquering Fears and the Mighty Blow for California Love. And, wow, this is a really even game. So, decent SVP. Nothing really jumping out at me. No intercept? Yeah, 1 pass failure missing against the intercept. Very nice. So, Nocturnal still unable to pick up a win, and I'm pretty sure California Love will be getting deleted at the end of this season. I know I've heard rumors that he's not enjoying the human play, so hopefully, Nocturnal, if you're listening, you can find something you do enjoy and be back at it again next season. So, in Week 11, let's look here. Wedge, taking the lead, 24 points, 7 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, looking commanding in his first season. But Poe is following up, also 7 wins, but a few less draws at 22 points. He is still in contention to take that top. And then we have Deadell's passing at 21. They can tie Wedge, but the TD diff is still in the favor of the Chorse. Surprisingly enough, 6 TD diff for A-Grain, and 10 for Wedge. So he can tie this week, but he cannot take the seat as first. Still has a chance, though. Spigosaurus and Yayo both still in the running, though Yayo... Well, actually, let's see here. Yayo can max out at 6 points. So if none of the top of the board passes, Yayo's technically in it. Everybody below Yayo is out and ready for the next season. If Yayo wins his last 2 games and Poe doesn't win either of his last 2 games or draws both, Wedge has to lose his last 2 games, and yada yada yada. Yayo can take first place. So Yayo technically still in it. Lots of things have to happen for him to take that single spot. Competition is tough, but I don't know if everybody's gunning for playoffs. When you're in a fresh div, playoffs can be a real kiss of death here. Alright, so up from there, Spigosaurus, 1 point up, has a chance to double win and take over the 24 points that is currently holding the lead. Still not super likely, and I don't know if you want to take Zons. Maybe, first season Zons in. I don't know if it gets any better for Zons later on, but playoffs is where the monsters are, and a lot of death. So if you're going to keep him for the next season, Spigosaurus, maybe don't try too hard. I don't know. A-Grain at 21. The top 3 are the closest and probably the most likely to fight over it. A-Grain can easily tie it up. Some big touchdowns could bring him up. I doubt we're going to see a 4 TD diff in his game next week. But let's take a look here. This week coming up, A-Grain and Dedel's passing face. Ooh, the Axe Grinders. This is really, really big. I don't think we will see a 4-0 blowout in between these 2 teams. But a win would tie him in points with Wedge. So A-Grain still in the running. Axe Grinders winning would put them above Wedge, and who does Wedge play? East End Geezers face the Reality Kings. So there is a chance for Fed to make play a little Kingmaker here as the Reality Kings. If he beats Wedge this week, which is very possible with the way his team is developing, it opens up the board and tightens the race because one of the 2 in second or third is going to get closer with a draw. Either they both get closer with a draw if Wedge loses, or one of them overtakes or ties in points. So that will get us into the last week and be a real nail-biter. I think the game to watch here is going to be Wedge versus Fed, just so you can see who's going to be in the running for first place. So we're going to give that the excited Lumi game of the week. Not because Fed's in contention, but because he has a chance to play Kingmakers, and it gets all the more interesting if Wedge loses. So for once, I'm rooting for you, Fed, so we can have an interesting end of the season. Also up is Conquer Your Fears versus Rabble Leader People. That should be an interesting game. Yield Guard versus Festering Sores. Hopefully Hindi can make it out alive, and Yield Guard can rack up some easy Line Rat SPP to rebuild a Pestigore after that one gets deleted. And Tolerant Left and California Love. This is what I want to see. If they draw, so help me God, one of you 2 needs a win this season. The no-win season is unacceptable from 2 coaches. If they draw, they continue on with the no-wins, and we'll see where it goes from there. They are 4-7, 4 draws, 7 losses for Nocturnal, and 3 draws, 8 losses for the Drunkernaut. So, if you want to, enjoy some herbal medicines or imbibe in Drunkernaut spirit, this would be the game to watch. A little pratfall of a game here. Let's take a quick breather and look over the teams. What have I seen? Nocturnal. I'm not going to look at Nocturnal's team. He's not in the running. Let's look at our top 3. Wedge. I choose you. Both Bulls have picked up break tackles since the last time I've looked at the team, and the killer has picked up I'm assuming that's a niggle. It is a niggle. Doesn't matter. He's still a AB9 and still a killer. This is a team that doesn't have all the tools built out yet. There's a lot of Hobgoblin SPP here. But it's Chorse with two highly developed Bulls, so there is a good chance they could make something happen in playoffs. And as the front runner, there's a good chance that he's going to have to face off against a Big O veteran. Wedge, a veteran of fresh teams himself, should have a good time if he makes it. I'd like to see one... If he's staying in the lead, I'd like to see him focus some more on getting his Chorf blockers, at least get guard across the board. I feel like you're going to need 4 or 5 to even it out here. Otherwise, you're just going to be outguarded, outmoved, and outskilled. Skill player-wise. Skill team player-wise, not necessarily player-wise. Solid Bank can rebuy anything he loses. Barnaby Rudge hopefully doesn't level up because if you're dropping 3 on a Hobgoblin, it's a 100k Hobgoblin. Ugh. You can't really recycle your ball carrier either before playoffs, so hopefully Barnaby Rudge settles down, and in the last 2 to 3 weeks, is it 2 weeks? Last 2 weeks? We're going to week 12, week 13, yeah, so 2 weeks. Hopefully he focuses on getting some more touchdowns on these 2 Bulls, or maybe even the Agi 2 touchdown with a Chorf, because Barnaby Rudge leveling up I don't think helps him. Next up is Poe, who we briefly looked at for the Troll Slayer level up. Picking up guard. He has enough guard to compete in playoffs, I think. He can face down any of the elf teams that are up there in first, because there is two Dark Elves, a Norse, which would probably be best in 2 Orc teams. Does not really compete to the other overly skilled Papa Nasty. His team is dwarfs on steroids. Everybody's got block, everybody's got guard, mighty blow piling on. But definitely any of the other 4 in the running for second place in Big O, I think Poe's team could really compete with. Drop the Death Roller, be super, super lean. God, without the Death Roller, this is a, 1400 team, and it's just so great. Could pick up a 3rd reroll. Save leader? No. Okay. So, if he goes into playoffs, drop the Death Roller, pick up a 3rd reroll, make use of that Nuffle Altar, and I think Poe would have a real chance against any of the teams other than Papa Nasty. And finally, in the top 3 in the closest contention is back to Dead Elves Passing. A-Green. Making a lot with a little. Still just the most basic elf team. Like, it's not bad. A-Green has shown that he can play elves, and that's one of the things he wanted to do this season, is switch to an Agi and learn it. He proves he can do it with a team that is just standard high elf. No doubles, no stat ups, no freak beasts. This is pure elf play. Now, if he makes it to playoffs, I think that A-Green would have the hardest time. 2 tackle, opposed to 2 teams built with tackle, is going to make it rough for him to face down either of the Dark Elf teams. Absolutely no real bash to face down the Orc teams. And the Norse is... A-Green, I'm not saying, buddy, that I don't want you to win playoffs and take first place, but maybe you just submarine the last few. Think about your survival. Either way, I love to see this team. I hope that he gets some, if he keeps with him, I hope he gets some really fun level ups, because this was a pure elf season. This is elf ball at the purest, and I think he has proven to himself, if he doesn't know it already, that he can play them well. So, A-Grain, hopefully you get something cool. Still, actually not, we can look at some more here. Still not below the cutoff is Rabble leader people. Where's my Rabbles? Rabble. 1440 Zons. Zons have everything they need right out the bat. This could be good. If you don't hit Papa Nasty, this is a team that can compete with Blodge against Jape's team. It outbuilds Sand Dunes' team. And honestly, you could do some real funny things against Work Machine. Work Machine only has 4 tackle, so not too bad. More than actually he's been facing quite a bit. So while he is a bit further from the playoff spot, I think Spigosaurus has a really good chance. If he makes it, he has to win his last 2 games to get up to 25 points and have some people lose out. Still can happen, but I think there's a team that could get through at least a few rounds of the playoffs. 1, at least, as long as it's not Papa Nasty. And finally, the Perfect Storm Yield Guard. Wait, who is this? Oh, okay. Admin. Yield Guard. This is the Perfect Storm because literally everything has to go right for him to take first place. Everybody else above him has to lose, and he has to win, which I don't see happening. And it's a great team, and it's Nurgle, but it's just not there yet. This is a team primed for next season. You build a killer, which he rebought, and these warriors are so beautiful. I've talked about it multiple times this season, but you need to appreciate just how great it is to come out of your first season as Nurgle with your warriors being your most developed pieces. It's really hard to get. So, Yale, while I don't think you are going into playoffs, I do think you are going to have a great second season with the Yield Guard. And that's about everything we've missed, right? Past schedule, current schedule, who you're facing, what we're up on board for. Let's see here. Leaderboard. Who's doing well? If we break it down just to the Swiss, Agrain and Poe, Wedge, and Fed picks up a few wins. This is pretty standard. Yale having a rough time in the Swiss, though. That's the surprising part. So, still a chance. Yeah, I'm trying to find just anything else we can talk about for playoffs. I will hopefully have a Chorf coach before the end of the season. We have 2 weeks left, so I need to get a Chorf coach, and Hummerset promised me that he would come on, so I'll probably try and get Hummerset next weekend because I do not think I did the Zons talking about justice. It was great having Spigosaurus on, but you both deserve some insight on Amazons from a true veteran of the team, especially if either of you guys are going to take it into the second season. I don't know. Feel free to comment and let me know. So I will get a hold of Hummerset, and hopefully we'll have him next week, and then I will maybe stop being lazy in the final week and get Bleeding Hippie, but he might be preparing for playoffs. If not, we'll see if we can get Puck or Quick to come talk chores. So next week, Drunk or Not or Spigosaurus, if you guys want to be back on, and hopefully we can get Hummerset, we can talk some Zons as we continue to cover playoffs. That has been your 10B recap for Week 11. Go forth and kick some ass.